Hello, I'm Becky Hadid, host of The Storied Recipe. As my weekly guests share their stories through the vessel of cherished food memories, we become better cooks, more grateful for the gift of food, and we honor those that have loved us through their cooking. My guest for today's episode is Adjoa, a dear friend of almost 10 years. Adjoa is equal parts candor and compassion, and she has caused me to examine and rethink positions I take in every area of my life, from politics to parenting to faith. When I put out an open call for storied recipes, Adjoa responded immediately by giving me the recipe for kelewele. Kelewele and the tight-knit Ghanaian community were the constants in Adjoa's childhood, which was split between Ghana, where she was raised by her fiery entrepreneurial grandmother, and the U.S., where her industrious and loving mother taught her the rules of the kitchen and further instilled the value of community. Adjoa, thank you so much for joining me as my first guest.
Oh, no problem. Thank you for having me.
So I'm guessing most of my listeners are like me and have not had kelewele before. So for their sake, can you just tell me a little bit about what it is?
Okay. Kelewele is like a Ghanaian dish. It could be a street dish or a dish that you actually serve formally at home as part of your meal. And it is made with ripe plantains. And what makes kelewele different from just frying a plantain is that it's actually almost sort of battered in spices. So there's onion, ginger, um, red pepper, and a little bit of salt and water that creates this thick sauce kind of thing that you toss the kelewele in and then fry it. So it gives it a bit of like a sweet, spicy taste.
Mm-hmm.
And really, you can identify kelewele again from just frying plantains. Outside of the batter, is that it's cut into smaller pieces. So the way I make them, cut the plantain lengthwise in fours. So and then I cut them that way. So you get a little, maybe like a quarter inch pieces.
Okay.
And just pick them up and pop them in your mouth.
You had me at battered.
Yeah, it's lightly battered, so it's not popcorn chicken, where you could just see slightly battered, so you get the flavor. But because there's no flour,
right? Yeah, it's battered in flavor.
It's delicious.
It is delicious, and I think the other thing I love about it is how beautiful it is.
Yeah. If you're paying attention to what you're doing and you don't burn them, you get a great color. Beautiful, like golden brown. Yeah.
Yes, it's such a gorgeous, gorgeous color. So obviously, kelewele is very near and dear to your heart. Do you think there are any words or adjectives that people could use that would describe both you and kelewele?
Obviously, golden. Golden.
Beautiful.
Beautiful, spicy.
Spicy, Ghanaian.
I have a little bit of a kick to me some days. And kelewele has that too.
It's one of the many things I love about you, Adjoa. That and that you came and taught me how to season my cast iron pans. They're so beautiful now, and I'm almost addicted to seasoning them. Like,
and actually, the cast iron, I mean, it helps with the coloring. What I find is, if you're using something like a cast iron, you'll get a really pretty color. But you have to be mindful if your pan isn't seasoned well, because what happens is, you'll lose all that stuff because it'll stick to the bottom and it won't peel up.
Right.
So you'll lose color.
And that would be a terrible shame to lose that gorgeous gold color.
So prior to my cast iron, and if anybody's interested in making it, what I did was I had one of those like personal small deep fryers.
Mm-hmm.
I used to use those because, again, I'm just cooking for myself. But my family, my mom, my aunts, they usually have like the normal size deep fryers, and that's what they cook it in. because they never just made a little bit, because there's always
Right.
people around.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Now that people know enough about Kelawele that their interest is piqued, I'd love to turn a little bit to your story, which starts in Ghana, correct?
I actually was born in DC. So I was
Okay.
born in Southeast DC. I went to live in Ghana when I was about 9 months old.
Okay.
I lived with my grandmother. My mom came back up here. She just really wanted us to, she
Mm-hmm.
wanted us to pick up the culture and the language and things like that. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
sure it also made life a little easier on them as they were getting established. And I was there for 7 years, and then my mom made me come back, and then I had a hard time adjusting back here. I didn't like it.
Okay.
So then I remember I did first grade in Montgomery County. I went to Glen Allen Elementary School.
Mm-hmm.
And I just remember I liked school, but I didn't like it. I was just too much for me. I remember
Mm.
always being like, why can't I do this? Why am I always in trouble?
Mm.
And I remember they told my mom I had ADHD, and my mom was like, she does not. Thank you. And so I went back to Ghana, and then my mom made me come back up here around fourth, fifth grade,
Okay.
because she was just like, okay, we can't do back and forth. I do have a lot of like great memories associated with Ghana, but most of them are childhood.
Yeah.
I think the great thing about Ghana, I think everybody is pretty happy-go-lucky.
Mm.
I mean, I remember just tons of joy growing up.
Mm.
And there was a lot of freedom. I was a free,
Mm.
like, we were able to go places. I remember, I just go to a neighbor's house and sleep there, and then they'll return me,
Mm.
which is not something I recommend anybody doing now. But it's very personal. And my grandmother, everybody knows my grandmother.
Tell me a little bit about your grandmother.
My grandmother just celebrated her 75th birthday party, her
Oh.
birthday. She had a party last Saturday in
Now,
Ghana.
okay, so you weren't able to be there.
No, I was not able to be there, but I say that to say I got a message from my mother that had like 25 attachments. Those 25 attachments were a photo shoot my grandmother did and made someone take her picture for her birthday party flyer banner thing.
Did she style it? Like she chose an outfit and everything for it?
Absolutely. Why would she not?
Oh, I love it. I
So
love it.
my mother sent it to me, and she goes, here's your grandma. And I was, oh my gosh. What soul did grandma make do this? Because I'm certain of those 25 pictures, there are at least 10,000 shots.
Oh my
She
goodness.
probably looked through every one and said, nope, do this one again. Nope, do this one again. But my
Oh.
mother is a character. She's very defiant.
Mhm.
And I almost feel like growing up when she did, you kind of had to be as a woman.
Mm.
And I just think that as a woman, growing up when she did, and she's 75, there weren't a lot of protections there for her
Yeah.
or for any other woman growing up in her time. And
Mhm.
so you kind of have to, it's kind of like, they just have to fend and scrap for themselves to protect
Yeah.
themselves.
Yeah. Right. So, your grandmother was like a mother to you when you were,
Yeah.
so from the time you were 9 months to 9 years, she was your mother for all intents and purposes.
Mm-hmm.
So how would you describe her as a mother?
Um, she's a lot of fun. She's very strict.
Hmm. I would say that's just about a perfect combination.
Even now, like when she's up here, my mom's getting on my nerves. I tell my grandma.
Does she make your mom get in line?
one time, my mom was like, "Stop tattling on me, T." Ridiculous. She's just a ball of fire,
Mm-hmm.
She takes her.
She was working a lot then.
I mean, I guess so. I never noticed it as such, but a lot of the things she did was at home.
Okay.
And my grandma owned a bar and a nightclub.
Really?
She did, and so that's part of the reason she was well known. People knew her, and so and so she had a storefront, and the storefront operated in the daytime, and so
Okay.
come by like groceries and things like that.
Uh-huh.
And she her house in the front of her house was just this big kind of compound, and it was fenced like gated off.
Okay.
And in the area that was gated off, right in the middle was this huge tree. Um,
Okay.
it served as kind of like the covering. It was huge. And so then at night, people came to have drinks, and she like there it was like they'll eat. There was like a restaurant piece, and then there's music. So people
Okay.
are always there.
Oh, wow.
People
Now,
are
did she serve Kelawele?
So Kettle was always there because the bar area, like at night it was the bar, but in the daytime, it was just people came to visit and be sitting out there. We used to eat the tree had fruit, but we would always eat off of there. And my grandma would like cook, and we'd be out there. So Kelly was definitely part of the story there, and she'd always
Mm-hmm.
have like that with peanuts, because she would boil peanuts, like that.
Yes. So now that you've brought up trees and we're talking about a plantain dish, I'm kind of curious about a couple of things. Trees are so cyclical here, right? Like apple trees in the fall, so on and so forth. So in a tropical climate like that, do trees still have seasons or are they kind of ever bearing?
So there is a dry season and a rainy season,
Uh-huh.
and I'll have to research a little bit more to be more confident in my answer, but I do know that that has an impact.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
but I believe for the most part, the trees are always in this season of bearing, and
Hmm.
you they're harvested, obviously. So,
Right.
it,
Right. Yeah.
but
Okay.
because of the weather, we don't. They certainly don't go through you know, we're all done. Our trees, our leaves have fallen off, and there's nothing.
Right.
But if they've been harvested, obviously it takes time. So I believe
Okay.
my grandmother owned a farm, actually.
Oh, okay. You're
So
the same one who owned a bar and a nightclub.
yes, yes,
This was a very industrious woman.
yes. With like, I think my mom says less than a seventh grade education, to be quite honest.
Wow.
But yeah,
Good
so
for her.
actually, we would
Hmm.
also go into the village, which was cool.
Okay.
And there was farms. I mean, she had a farm, so I remember we'd go out, we'd hoe, we'd get things out. I remember, but we
Uh-huh.
would just pick mushrooms and eat them.
Wow.
And it has to be God's grace, or that or like the mushrooms that grow here don't grow there. I'm like, now we think about it, I'm like, they're adults. We had no knowledge of what's poisonous for us. Ate them.
What would make you high and what wouldn't?
I'm listen. I don't recall being high, but if it was a good mushroom, then maybe you shouldn't recall it, right?
That's
Um,
right. Maybe
but
you just
no,
had
it
good
was
dreams
just
one night.
we would go out and help, and we would pick mushrooms, and she'd use them for soup. My cousins and I, and friends in the area. I mean, it was a big farmland.
So then, okay, so plantains, do they grow on trees? They grow on
And
trees.
they actually grow the same way bananas grow.
And
Um,
how is that?
they do grow on trees.
Okay.
They have like a conical shape, like cone almost.
Oh,
Um,
oh, really?
yeah, those kids' toys that where the kids will take a circle
Yeah,
and they
the
stack it.
stackable rings.
Yeah,
Yes.
stack them, and it goes from the large to the small.
Okay. Okay.
Imagine those, but upside down, right?
Oh,
The plantains hang off of them on these stalks. You
huh.
have to do
It's
one.
isn't it crazy that I eat something so now I don't eat plantains regularly, but I eat bananas regularly, and I have no idea what the tree they come from look like. I mean,
Just when
I'm a little embarrassed about that
I
right now.
I found that out when I realized I didn't know how pineapples grew, and I looked up pineapples. I was like, what? You know,
It's just one more evidence of how removed we are from our
yeah.
food.
And they have these like large, like these large leaves. That's what I
Hmm.
remember about them. Is these leaves.
Mm.
They are these large green leaves. Like, I want to say leafy, but that doesn't help in this
Oh,
conversation.
like fringy. Like they have a fringe on the edge?
They do, but I just remember like you can just like stand under one and kind of hold the both sides of the leaves out and cover yourself if it's raining. Like that's what I remember.
Oh, wow.
Um,
That's
but
a big leaf.
but again, I was a child, so let's. I don't know.
Yeah, but
Oh,
you
they
weren't
were
an infant. Okay, you've educated me about plantain trees. Now, tell me a little bit more. Your grandmother would make these, the kelewele for you, your family, the whole neighborhood?
we're so it was very communal, and so
Okay.
people are over, then she'll just start frying plantains, and we still do it now when people come to visit. We'll
Uh-huh.
just are there plantains? Let's fry plantains.
Now,
Yeah,
did she, when she cooked outside, that was over like an open fire, or was there like a grill?
no open fire. Um,
Okay. And
and
so how do you, like in a pan, if the grease splatters or whatever, that creates some pretty big sparks if you have an open fire. Was that?
open fire, but not pans as in like a frying pan that we have
Oh,
here.
okay.
Almost a wok type thing.
Oh, so the sides are a little
Yeah,
higher. Things
I
don't splatter
fire.
quite as much.
Hmm.
Okay.
And
Okay.
also, we just knew better.
Yeah.
That we just knew better not to be there, you know?
Okay.
And
Okay.
I remember like
So,
when I see her cooking, I'd be like, oh, she's cooking. Let me go on the other side because if you get too close, she'll find a job for you. So that's
so there were never children around the open flame. They were smarter than that.
but yeah, but sometimes she'll have us sit with her and watch and learn. But
Well,
part of,
that's what I wanted to ask. So was she the person who taught you how to make this, your grandmother?
I think it was a combination of her, my aunts, my mom, like everybody, and everybody still kind of has a way they cut their plantains differently. Uh,
Yes.
but my aunt cuts them larger, and actually, she actually doesn't cut hers. She cuts hers in like half moons. She doesn't cut it
Ooh,
in fours. So hers are a little chunkier, and they'll have like, they're more half moons than like,
I like that. It just sounds so pretty to have a half moon shape. I like that, but of course, less surface area for the frying.
yeah.
So really, there's a trade-off there for sure.
It is.
So tell me about your adjustment to America, especially when it comes to this communal part. When you came here and then you were with your mom and your stepdad?
Yeah. So,
Okay. So you were here with your mom and your stepdad. I mean, America's not exactly such a communal place normally. Was it like that for you or not so much?
well, I think it was different. I think so. Even here, we still had a Ghanaian community that
Right.
is still very communal. So I don't think I noticed.
Mhm.
I realized that I was living in kind of like two worlds almost, right? And
Okay.
so there was school and friends, and then there was just family and cousin friends,
Okay.
um,
Hmm.
and endless supply of aunties and uncles. Um, am I really related, or is this one of those things where I
Yeah.
just only aunties don't So I don't think that I noticed much of that.
Okay.
Because most of my mom's friends were Ghanaian, and you know when you become friends with another Ghanaian, you're not exactly just friends. You're like family.
Right.
It's kind of how it
Right.
feels. So I don't think I noticed because there was just such a strong community around us.
That's a great thing.
Yeah.
Hmm. So how did would you say that food affected your adjustment at all? Like, would you call it a bridge between Ghana and America?
So I'll say this: I didn't have a hard time transitioning here
That is so interesting to me.
because I was here for. I used to come back and forth a lot.
Oh, true.
My
Yeah.
sister had a harder time adjusting.
Okay. So what was your sister's situation?
She hated American food.
She
It,
just hated American food. So
she
what
just,
was it about American food that she
I don't
hated?
know. She just didn't like it. Till this day, she will not eat pancakes with syrup on it. I think when she had her first baby, like her hormones made her eat something with like syrup on it. I think she was just
Uh-huh.
that hungry. But
Yeah.
on her own, my sister has had a battle with pancake, waffles, and anything syrup related her whole childhood. She hates it. Um,
Well, that is actually really interesting to me because in the past, when I've had plantain dishes, they've been very sweet and almost like sticky and syrupy. But this kelewele it's actually not overly sweet. it doesn't have a shimmery or a syrupy appearance. It has almost like a matte appearance. And it's like you said, spicy, right? I mean, I'm sure you make it spicier than I make it.
Yeah.
And it's crispy.
Mhm.
So
I
that
actually have never been in contact with syrupy, overly sweet plantains. I'd be interested to know who's making it and why. Just plantains aren't dessert. I think people want it
Mm,
sometimes they because it's sweet, they maybe think like banana-y and very much like banana foster kind of thing. And that's not how I've ever interacted with plantains. I hope to never have to interact with plantains. But no, I've never encountered them being like syrupy or anything like that. See, I don't. I know they're very much like bananas, but I don't compartmentalize them. Like to me, a banana is a fruit, plantain is a vegetable. But I'm also weird, and I don't
oh, that
fruit
is.
veggies in my whole. I don't mix fruit and veggies.
Oh, okay. So tell me more about this. Is this like is this an actual like horticultural distinction that bananas are fruits and plantains are vegetable?
In my world, they are.
Really?
In my world, bananas are fruit and plantains are vegetables. But I mean, they're from the same kind of
Yeah.
plant family.
Yeah, there's
So
obvious similarities between
I
them.
believe, and I believe, what is it like? It's like fruits have seeds.
Yeah,
Yeah, so a plantain would technically be classified as a fruit then.
right. But you treat it as a vegetable in the sense that you don't make sweet dishes out of it.
Yeah, I don't think many people in my culture will view plantains as fruit.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Hmm.
they're
So I
part.
wonder if I've had Americanized versions of these dishes.
I don't know. I mean, for a lot of us, they're side dishes, right? So plantains with rice and chicken. You know what I mean? Which we
Mhm.
talk about our love for starch at a later time, but they're always yeah.
Right.
So
So do you remember learning how to make this dish, or do you remember anything about, times that you did make this dish
yeah,
yourself?
I obviously wasn't cooking in Ghana. I was too young.
Yeah.
Um, but I made it here. My sister and I, and my mom, and my mom always had like a deep fryer. So
Hmm.
plantains were actually probably one of the first meals I learned how to make on my own. And
That's
it's
amazing to me.
my mom. Every time my sister and I kind of got in trouble, it was usually around making food we weren't authorized,
Yeah.
spilling oil everywhere, and then
Well,
wiping it
that's
with water, hoping she wouldn't see, and then she'd fall, and then we get in trouble.
you say this like it happened more than once.
To my sister. But
Well,
yeah,
yeah, which I find amazing because I think I'm pretty free with my kids in the kitchen, but honestly, like hot oil and flame, yeah, hot oil is just, it's dangerous, it's messy. Um, I'm pretty impressed. That's one of the first things you learn to make.
yeah. I mean, again, I moved back to the United States when I was like nine,
Yeah.
10. So yeah, I could use it. The deep fryer thing, you just plug it in. She always had oil in there, so you just cut it, put it in a little basket, and let it down, and then bring it
Yeah,
back.
I suppose that is safer. Yeah.
And every time we spilled oil, it wasn't because the oil was hot and we spilled it, because my mom bought the Costco size like vegetable oil.
Yes, you weren't strong enough.
Yeah. And so that's really, we never spilled hot oil. It was the cold oil that we weren't authorized to get, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
You, that was our after school. If there were plantains in the house, it was like our after school snack before our mom got home. Because I remember we had like a 30 minutes to an hour overlap of when we got home versus when my mom got home.
Okay.
Instead of doing our homework, we were frying plantains.
Yeah. I mean, it strikes me as a very wholesome snack.
It is. We thought it was too.
Well, especially if you consider a plantain to be a vegetable, which
Yeah,
it's totally not.
it's a fruit. So either way it works.
Yeah, exactly. Now, if you successfully made the plantains and your mom didn't, and you didn't mix the oil with water and your mom didn't slip, was she happy to come home and have them?
Well, we never made some for her. I think she always appreciated the fact that we can do stuff by ourselves. I mean, but with the Kelly Willing, what's interesting was, remember, it requires using the blender, cutting onions and stuff. And so one of the first things like she actually did, we wouldn't use the fresh ginger and stuff anymore. So cop out way was she would season it with like the dry ginger and the the cayenne and salt and pepper, and it would be okay, but it wouldn't be the same. But we weren't she didn't let us go near some of the kitchen appliances.
Yeah, then you only had to deal with hot oil, not a
Well,
blender.
she didn't want us breaking her stuff because we were good at break all her stuff.
Yeah. So in the survey that you filled out, when you first told me about the dish, you said that it was the only thing you and your cousins were allowed to snack on while your aunties were getting the rest of the food together. So tell me a little bit about these events that you guys would have and this rule.
Well, it wasn't necessarily a rule. It was we realized we could get away with this thing.
Right.
So that's what we're going to do. But usually, so I want to say like they're not events, but they are. Like when people come to visit, there's my aunts and my mom will always be cooking, right? So we have the events, and then I think what I look forward to more than the events are like the days before and the days after, because you have family that comes early and then leaves later. So help with setup, and those are my favorite memories growing up, and it's still my favorite times now. So whenever that happens, literally, my aunts like are cooking, and no matter what they're cooking, there's always someone making like plantains or kelewele, because as people are coming in, those are the it's the item that cooks fastest.
Yeah,
and
that's your hors d'oeuvre.
Yeah, exactly. And so the goal is to get up there before everybody else does, because as you witnessed, there is no kind of moderation when it comes to eating them. It's like
no. It's but it's got to be a delicate balance, because you also can't burn your fingers and your tongue on that hot oil. Yeah. So when if you read books or blog posts or whatever about hosting big events in America, people often tend to associate those with stress. There's a lot of stress associated with cooking. When your mom and your aunts got together and cooked, was it a stressful time for them, or was this, I'll just leave the question at that. Was that a stressful time for them?
I don't think any of my aunts are stressed out by cooking. There may be stressful things going on that kind of make people come together sometimes, you know what I mean? Funerals and things like that. But I think when we get to that point where everybody's in the kitchen, sitting at the counter, sometimes my uncle's the one that's cooking. It's sad but joyous, and so it gives them time to kind of just talk things out.
It's therapeutic.
Yeah, discussions and laughter. Somebody's like, look at this YouTube video that I found. Like, it's more like you said, therapeutic, more. I have never associated any of those times with stress or anxiety or anything like that. Even the reason that we were together, like recently with a funeral, but it was so much fun.
Yeah. And would you say that has to do with the fact that maybe there's a little bit more vulnerability? So there's not so much as like people are putting on a front or are trying to put on a good show with their cooking or their hostessing. It really is about community.
I think that's true. I think it's very much community, joy. Yeah. So,
that sounds so wonderful.
It is. Hey, there is no pressure in that regard. It's like come as you are, and don't come too dressed up, because you're probably going to be doing something.
Yeah. Well, I want to talk about that a little bit also. You mentioned that your uncle is a really good cook. So is there a strong division of labor between men and women in the Ghanaian communities you've been a part of, or is everybody in the kitchen all together?
I honestly, I think it depends. It depends on the family. In general, generally speaking, I tend to think it's much like every other society where a lot of that burden of kitchen and cooking is on women.
Yeah.
My grandmother, however, has 4 sons and 1 daughter.
Oh, okay.
So, and
I
So,
see where you're going with this because I
oh,
have 4 sons.
so she does not care
hmm
if there's a chore and needs to get done and one of you needs to do it.
That's right.
My uncle Mike likes to brag that he cooks and bakes better than my mom.
hmm
So a
Is it
little.
true?
Yeah, actually, I don't know. I wouldn't say it's. I think I think they're both really good cooks.
Yeah. He
Uh,
gets a handicap as a man.
yeah. But my grandmother had always said that she never wanted any woman to hold food over her son's head.
Okay. I
So
like that.
she made sure they knew how to cook. I would say my uncle tends to be a little more creative of a cook.
Okay.
And my mom, like he can put God knows what he finds in his freezer together and make a dish, you know. And we'll all,
That's a talent. Okay, so I noticed that you sent me to an international market to get these plantains, and you said that my local Harris Teeter probably wouldn't have them. Any reason why?
well, so in my experience, the international markets tend to have, and I don't know if you noticed when you went to IFIA market, is they'll have two sections. One's with the green plantains,
Mm-hmm.
and one that's just ripe plantains.
Mm-hmm.
At like Costco, because they sell plantains at Costco, they bring them in when they're green
Yeah.
and they take them out when they ripen. But you'll never go to the store and find bananas with the brown spots on them.
Mm-hmm.
And they treat what I find is a lot of like mainstream stores treat plantains that way.
Mm-hmm. Whereas when they get those spots, that's perfect for you.
That's perfect for me, and a lot of people like them ripe. The U.S. is more accustomed to Spanish dishes or
Mm-hmm.
Hispanic dishes, and everybody knows tostones, right?
Mm-hmm.
People
Mm-hmm.
eat, and so the green is great for that. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but the
Yeah.
good thing is like if you are like, oh, I'm gonna make kelewele in like by next week, I'll just go to Costco and buy from Costco and let it sit and it'll ripen.
Mm-hmm. All right. Good advice. Good advice. So, talk to me about the measurements and the proportions in this recipe that you shared with me. Are they exact? Do people need to follow it precisely?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
I just had to make that clear.
Absolutely not. My my people are not known for their precise measuring when it comes to cooking. I actually asked my mom, are there like, specific measurements? Because, I just make them however I want to. And she was like, measurements for what? Like, put some onion and some ginger. Like, why are we having this conversation? I think I was annoying her.
That's so funny.
And I would actually joke with my sister. I'm like, one day I'm just going to watch them as they're cooked and force them to measure things out so I can write it down and put it in a book for future generations because no one knows like how much ginger, how much onion. My mom's
Yeah.
like, however much you want. I'm like, oh, okay.
Well,
So yeah,
that's what I did for you, and I have to say yours turned out absolutely perfectly. So we're going to go with your proportions.
okay, that works. And obviously, as with any recipe, spice is dependent on the
Yeah.
person.
Yeah, I know you did that spice for me and my my European tongue.
um,
My Western blonde European tongue.
oh, you can handle a lot more than you think.
Oh, I thank you. I'm kind of flattered by that statement, actually.
Yeah, I did go light. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, well, thanks. Thanks. It was perfect for me. And yeah, we ate them up in no time. So, what should we eat with kelewele? What would you eat kelewele with in Ghana?
Well, it depends. As a snack, peanuts. You just
Mm,
have some peanuts and go. My
hmm
mom, I think, gets her peanuts that she eats from like Costco, like
hmm
salted ones or whatever. I actually eat them just by themselves. They're perfect for me to kind of just put in a little container and just munch on when I drive.
hmm
Some people eat them with. We have a bean stew, it's black eyed pea stew. In Ghana, like it's called red red.
hmm
People eat it with plantains. Not necessarily, doesn't have to be kelewele, but it can be just regular plantains that they'll eat that stew with.
hmm Like
Always
raw? They would just eat it raw?
eat
Raw,
raw.
raw plantains.
No, no, not raw. You never eat plantain raw under any circumstance.
You don't. So you wouldn't just peel it with a banana and eat it.
That's not healthy. No.
Oh, really? Why?
Um, you don't eat plantains raw. Well, okay, let me say this. I've like been hungry enough that if I cut up like kelewele, I'll just pop one in and eat
Uh-huh.
it.
Uh-huh.
But I, the green plantains, my mom says you'll get a stomach ache if you eat them raw.
Oh,
But I have not had that verified by a doctor, and I have not dared to do it.
okay.
But generally, I don't know a single culture that eats plantains raw.
Okay. So
But
that's another way that they differ from bananas.
yeah, you can boil them, you can fry them, you can bake them,
Uh-huh.
but you can't eat them raw.
Interesting. Okay. So I loved actually the kelewele with the peanuts.
Hmm.
And I think it's because I have such a I don't have a sweet tooth, but I have a very strong salt fat tooth. And I love my chips and I
Yes, salt,
heavily say it again.
sweet and salty.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to wrap it up with this question. When is the next time you anticipate making kelewele and who will you be making it for?
Actually, I have plantains here. My
Uh,
sister is here.
uh-huh.
Uh, actually, I am anticipating. I want to get an air fryer and try them in
Uh-huh.
an air fryer. I
Tell
will.
me how that goes.
I will.
That
Yeah.
sounds good. You take after both your mother and your grandmother in your entrepreneurial spirit. Is this true?
Somewhat, yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So I would love for you to tell my listeners about your business.
Okay. So I make bows and hair accessories for girls and women. It's called Aj Creates.
Do you have a passion for continuing and representing the Ghanaian culture with your business?
Yeah. So when I started, my sister and I were trying to find ways to incorporate pieces of our culture into my niece's kind of everyday life. Because just growing up, when we were just talking about like how much we loved wearing our traditional, clothing and cloth now, but growing up, when we had to wear it to church or outside of our home, we'd be like so mortified.
Mm,
And part of it was because we just wanted to not be different.
mm,
We wanted to be just like every other kid. And, you know, and when, you go out, people kind of marvel because, the bright colors and the dresses,
hmm
people kind of marvel at it. And when you're little, I don't think we saw it as marveling. We saw it
mm,
as gawking.
hmm
And we didn't want any part of it. So we kind of shied away. And then, like, it would come from Ghana and, my grandma would pick the style and imagine, your grandma picking your style at like 7, 10, 12. It never came out good. We were like, well, what we were thinking or brainstorm? What are ways we could slide this in so that my niece Amani just grows up with this, and so
mm,
that she's aware it's not weird to her or it's not different. It's just something she's always done. It's just in talking and just looking at some of my craft groups and what people were doing. They were making bows, and I was like, I can make headbands. I
Yeah,
can't
you can.
all that. And then even realized that even in my craft groups, when they were just bows being made, not even out of like cloth like I was doing, but just with the faux leather and all these other kind of materials, the characters on it
hmm
weren't very diverse. So I thought, well, there's another piece to kind of add in. So I started working and getting leathers and things made that had a wider range of characters on it because I was like, I want my niece to see this too. And then from there, it kind of just blossomed into, you know, what can I do? I really love color. I love coordinating colors.
I think you actually have a little bit of a genius for color.
That's a
You
compliment. Wow. Well, thank you. But yeah,
I
I
do. I really think you do have a genius for colors, though. I'm always amazed at what you put together. They're not things that I would have guessed, but they look so beautiful.
which was actually really hard for me growing up because I just felt like everybody mentioned how dark my skin was, and I didn't want anybody to notice. And I felt like bright color drew too much attention to me, and maybe people were making fun of me. So actually, for the most part of my sophomore and junior year, and even senior year of high school, I only wore black and brown. I did not wear bright colors until college, where I was like, I don't even care anymore. And
Oh,
then, and people were like, "Oh my gosh, that color looks great on you." And then ever since then, I was like, "I'm gonna wear whatever I want."
Oh, yeah. I'm so
Yeah.
glad you decided that. I'm so glad you decided that. And I do think your bows, the variety is
Yeah.
incredible. I mean,
Thank you.
you have them for every occasion. You have them for sports teams. Like you said, you have fabrics that represent all races, and it's so important.
Yeah, it is. Want to brand yourself so that people know who you are and what you stand for, which I think I love all things Black girl, and making sure that Black girls see themselves. Um, but I also want to make sure that my Black girl pride, Black girl magic doesn't take away from anybody else's, right?
Mhm.
And so,
Mhm.
or anybody else feel like, well, she doesn't care about me. So, you know,
No, no, I think, yeah, no, your line represents inclusion. I don't think there's any race that could ever feel excluded from your line of bows ever. And tell our listeners exactly where they can find you, anywhere and everywhere they can find you.
oh, okay. You can find me. I am on Facebook and Instagram, and I have a website. It's www.adjcreates.com, ADJCREATES.com, www.adjcreates.com. And if you can't find me, chances are I'm on the story recipes Instagram commenting on food that Becky is not feeding me.
Yes, if anybody needs to get in touch with Adjoa for either a custom order or an existing bow, then just find me at The Storied Recipe and reach out to me. I would love to connect you with her. Adjoa, I cannot thank you enough for your time, for sharing your story, for being so open and vulnerable, for giving us so many great tips, and for making me Kelawele. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be a part of this, to be the very first one. And you know I'll never let you live that down.
Nope.
So, thank you.
I don't even want you to. You are the perfect first guest. Have a have a great day, Adjoa.
Thank you. You too.
Okay, bye-bye. Thanks again to Adjoa for being the perfect first guest. You can find her recipe for Kelawele on my website, thestoriedrecipe.com. On my website, you can also find weekly episodes released every Wednesday, or you can subscribe via your favorite player. You can join the Storied Recipe community by following me over on Instagram and tagging any of these recipes with hashtag Storied Recipe. My guests love to see their cherished recipes enjoyed by others. Finally, please know that I truly believe everyone has a story to share, and I would love to hear and photograph yours. Please reach out. And in the meantime, have a great week, my friends. Hello, I'm Becky Hadid, host of The Storied Recipe. As my weekly guests share their stories through the vessel of cherished food memories, we become better cooks, more grateful for the gift of food, and we honor those that have loved us through their cooking. My guest for today's episode is Adjoa, a dear friend of almost 10 years. Adjoa is equal parts candor and compassion,